course, no worries. Okay, excited to be here. Oh my God, thank you. Such an honor. All right, now let's begin then, shall we? Okay, I hope you can see the screen. Tell me, let me know if you can see, let me know if you can't see. I will be looking at a chat a little bit, so if you text something. Okay, yeah, great. Okay, I guess let's start. So today our webinar is going to be about how to plan a grammar lesson. Well, it is technically it's called a webinar, but you will probably have to participate a little bit. So if you don't want to do that, let me know in advance, okay? So I wouldn't like put you in any breakout rooms, okay? So a little of a disclaimer. It was mentioned before, but I will write it again. So you can write questions in the chat. I'll try answering them in the moment. If not, there will be a Q&A session at the end. Make sure your microphone is off and you're not talking. So please do that as well, okay? You can turn off your camera if you want. You can turn it on, doesn't matter. Now, take notes. It is very important for you to take notes wherever is comfortable for you. You can use like your notes app, your Notion. You can use like an actual copybook if you want. Do that. And in this webinar, you will need to interact with your colleagues in the breakout room. So if you can't do that, again, let me know in advance. Like you can write it in the chat like a minus or something like this. Sorry, I'm just a listener. Okay, thank you. So I won't send you into breakout rooms and make you work. Okay. Now, let's begin with a little bit of an introduction. It was introduced before, but I want to, reiterate a little bit more. By mastering the communicative teaching approach, I increased both the quality and the price of my lessons tenfold. From 1,000 tenge, who are from Kazakhstan, knows that's how we usually started, like 8, 9 years ago. And right now I actually charge a bit more now, but not 10,000 tenge, but a bit more. I'm the speaker at major ELT conference organized by Scalarium, well now KazALT, and Progress Me Academy. I'm a seminar facilitator at the private school Bilim Innovation, if you know, you know. And I am among the top 5% of English teachers worldwide, of the top, yeah, best, I guess. 5% of English teachers worldwide, top 2% in Kazakhstan, who passed CELTA with Pass A. I helped 80 plus teachers transition to independent teaching, master interactive platforms, and build confidence using the communicative approach. And multiple teachers, that is a fact, from my methodology course go on to pass CELTA with Pass A and Pass B results. I think I have two teachers who have already passed CELTA with Pass A after completing my methodology course. And if you want to, you can follow me on Instagram. If you don't know, if you know me, thank you. If you don't, follow me. Now, moving on. There is a golden rule in methodology, okay? It's called one skill, one lesson. So doesn't matter what you teach, uh, you have to take time, let's say that, for completely like one lesson, and you need to only work on this one skill. No other skill, no other things should be included in there. It's just one skill, one lesson, okay? Now, there are three types of lessons we have. I think we're all familiar with it. It's the productive skills lesson, receptive skills lesson, and language lesson. Who can help me? What types of lessons do we put here? What type of skill we put in productive skills lesson? You can write in the chat. I will wait. If you want to, you can use your microphone and answer. Also possible. So what types of skills do we associate with productive skill lessons?
Speaking and writing,
Speaking and writing. Yeah, good job.
reasoning.
Thank you. Absolutely, you are correct. We have speaking and writing. Why? Because we produce something, right? Productive skill, we produce something. Next, we have the receptive skill lesson. What skills go here?
Reading and listening.
Absolutely, you are correct. We have reading and listening because what we receive information, that's why they're receptive skills lesson, because we receive information by reading or listening. And the last one, the favorite type of everyone, I think it's like the heel of every teacher is the language lessons. What skills do we associate with language lessons?
Grammar, vocabulary, functional language.
Okay, yes, absolutely. You are correct. Thank you very much. Yes, we have grammar, vocabulary, and functional language. If you've never heard of the functional language, welcome. It's a big thing. So, yes, we have these are the main seven types of lessons that you would normally conduct on an average, like English course that you would have for your students. It would also, again, for each lesson, you would conduct a separate, for each skill, you would conduct a separate lesson. So it's not like you would have reading and then listening together, as some of the books like to recommend us to do. And it's not like you would have speaking and writing with it. I would say, I would agree that, of course, we have some sub skills that we have to. Develop as well on the lesson. So, for example, we have a reading lesson, but the sub skill would be to answer the question and maybe like develop a speaking skill. That's possible, but it should not be intervented with each other. They should not be taking the attention of the lesson from like one thing to another. You can't have the whole reading text and then move on to vocabulary, or you can't have a whole vocabulary lesson and then just combine it with grammar because your students just will not be able to remember anything you're saying, and the effectiveness of your lesson just gonna just plummet simultaneously and very, very quickly. Now, let's talk about how to, today, since we're talking about grammar lesson, let's talk about how to plan and conduct language lessons. So there are frameworks, I call them frameworks or I call it a template. I call them template in Russian, that help us structure and design our lessons. So the most common frameworks for grammar lessons include TTT, so teacher test teach test. Next we have PPP, the everyone's favorite is presentation practice production. I'm sure you all familiar with that. And TBP is the text-based presentation. Now, text-based presentation today, we're learning this type of lesson is the text-based presentation. It's my favorite because first of all, I did not know that this thing existed before I entered Salta course. And I was like, oh my God, you can do that. I did know about PPP, of course. TTT, I would call it, is like a more yassified version of PPP since it's pretty much the same thing, but in a different font. But TBP for me was a completely new world. So that's why I completely fell in love with it when I first found out about this type of lesson. So today we're going to be learning how to do that easily and just like with everything you have pretty much with you. Now, let's probably because since a lot of you won't be able to, how to say, participate in the breakout rooms sessions, let's do it a bit differently. So let's just take a look. I will give you like 3, 4 minutes to read the situations and think what is wrong with the teacher's instructions, okay? You can write in the chat, or if you want to, you can use your microphone to explain, like, for example, situation one, this is wrong, da 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 da, how would you do differently? I would, blah, 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 blah. You can text it in the chat if you want. You don't need to participate. So I'll give you 4 minutes to look at the situation, analyze them. What is wrong with the teacher's instructions, and how would you do it differently? 4 minutes. You can write in the chat. Let's go. Okay, I'm getting some responses in the chat. Great job. So 3 minutes. If you want to share your, if you don't want to write in the chat, you can say it out loud. You can turn on your mic and speak if you'd like to. Okay, all right. Interesting. Okay, 2 minutes. Look at other situations. Yes, I see situation number one and situation number four mentioned the most so far. What I often will. Uh-huh. Okay, I see it. I see it. Okay, good, good. Mm-hmm. Okay. Really interesting responses. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, 1 more minute. What about situation number three? No one really mentions that. I see number one, number two, number four, but not number three. Hello? Mm-hmm. 30 more seconds. So nothing wrong with situation number three, I presume, right? Okay. All right. And we are finished. Explicit presentation. Maybe situation chosen, not the right one. Sees situation three. Okay. I really liked your responses. So, in the first situation, someone mentioned that there's no lead in. You are correct. There is no lead in. In situation number four, someone mentioned that it is the most common way. Someone mentioned that they also conduct their lessons like that, and especially in situation number second, number one, number two, no judgment at all. It's not a good idea to give students a direct link to the lesson's topic, like in situation number one. We'd better get a set of pictures displaying the context that students will use to deduce the topic. Really great idea, Irina. Thank you so much. Yeah, you are correct. So there is no lead in here that we have. Situation number one, number two, they have explicit presentation. Very good idea. Situation number four, someone mentioned that it is better to say, read the sentences and answer the question, is this sentence about past or perfect? Again, great idea. Past or present, sorry. Great idea. Great ideas overall. I really like your responses. Thank you so much for everyone who participated. Now, let's take a look and digest these situations together in a bit more in detail. Now, in situation number one, of course, everyone notices the mistake to start the lesson with just directly saying, today we're going to learn blah, 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 blah. I know that I've heard that in some schools, they do ask you to actually like explicitly mention the grammar topic that you're about to present, which I don't know, but I think most, well, at least from what I have heard, I have some colleagues who work at like some private schools and they have a very different approach. They are not explicitly asked to do that. But in some cases they do. But of course, it is a mistake to start a lesson with today we're going to learn. Why this doesn't work? Because it kills the motivation completely. Of course, I'm not like trying to, I'm not shadowing the students who like grammar, who are like excited when they hear those words. But most people, most students, they don't really do that. It does not introduce the context for using the tense, which is very, very important because with no context, students do not understand when and how to use the grammar that you're going to present. So, what's the point of doing this? If like okay, present perfect, when do we use it, why do we use it, what's the context for using, like students should be able to use the grammar that you're presenting, but if they don't know where to use it, they're not going to use it. So fails to engage students. They don't understand why they need this. This is probably one of the most important things is like, of course, subconsciously we know that, oh yeah, we need like grammar. Oh yeah, we need like present perfect or something like this. But students do not. Usually students just like, yeah, okay, sure. But here they specifically with a correct and right lead in, they will be able to understand why they need those tense in particular. Now, in situation number two, overloading lower level students with complex terminology. Because notice it is the teacher explains an A2 level rule to the students. So we cannot go, even if it's an A2 and you think, oh, they're strong, they will understand. Probably not. You can say, oh, this is present perfect continuous plus hello, present perfect continuous. Duh. We use it for actions that started in the past and then continue now. Too much words in A2 level students will not be able to understand even half of what you're saying. So they will not be able to process and remember what you're saying. So overloading lower level students is really not a good idea. So why this doesn't work, it makes it harder to understand the tense. Students do not understand the terms. Like past continue, it's formed with have has plus been plus verb ing. What the hell is that? Like, what is that? In A2, at A2 level, they still don't have like the grasp of all the terminology there is in English level. They're only trying and starting to get that. And terms like noun, verb are useful, like this is a useful terminology, but only when introduced clearly. So I am all for students knowing the terms such as noun, verb, adjective, adverb, question, yeah, I don't know, like a sentence, negative sentence. I'm all for it. But you have to specifically introduce it, not when you're doing a lesson or when you're like presenting a new topic, but specifically give them maybe like a set of those words, maybe with translation if it's like a lower level student. So they would have it with them like a cheat code. Whenever you're mentioning, guys, is it a verb or a noun? They should be able to look at it and be like, oh, it's a verb. So the terminology such as verb, noun, adjective are useful. You need to use them, but only when you introduce them clearly and properly, okay? And not just like doing it, oh, just, oh yeah, verb is actually this and noun is actually this. No. Moving on, mistake number three, not a lot of you people mentioned, but someone did. That is a bit of an unrealistic context. You are correct. So the speaking task has no connection to real life whatsoever, unless, of course, you are teaching like a survivalist, or like a very certain specific condition that you're preparing your students for. Then, sure, I'll go for it. But most often than not, we do not do that. Why this doesn't work? Presenting grammar in an unrealistic context makes students think it can only be used in such situations. So, for example, if you give them like second conditional about like imagine you're in a forest and a snake is chasing you down, he's like, okay, that's the only appropriate situation will I will be using, or am I allowed to use this grammar? Which, of course, it's not. So make the context as realistic as possible. Of course, with second conditional, it's not, it is supposed to be not realistic, but let's not make it like chasing, like snake chasing me down. Make it like you're a queen, you're a president, you're like a president of your school, I don't know, something like this, a bit more closer to their life, but still, of course, unrealistic since it's a second conditional anyway. And students are less likely to use it in real life communication. As I mentioned in mistake number one, if you don't give them the appropriate context they should be using the grammar in, they will not be using it at all since you didn't give them the appropriate context they should be using it in. So that's very important. And moving on to situation number four, the teacher does everything for the students and serves it on a silver platter. Basically, it's called spoon feeding. There is such a term in CELTA in English language and methodology. It's called spoon feeding. The teacher just like shows and it's like, yeah, this. The students are like, okay. No brain thought process is happening in the student's brain. So like students get used to the teacher explaining everything and they don't even try to figure anything out themselves. But our mission, our goal as a teacher is to prepare our students to live and be without us, basically. We have to teach them to, survive in this English world without our support. They should be able to read the text and understand the words, the context, why they use this, why they use that, without our help. Our mission, our goal is to give them the appropriate tools they need in order to understand the context and the words in the text without our help and without the help of like a translator or something else. So in real life, you won't be there 24/7 to guide them and what to use, what to say, how to do it properly. So the more responsible, the more independence you give to your students, the better it will be for them in the future and just in general. So try to make we like the communicative methodology. It actually stems from independency, stems from students being able to do things on their own, like autonomy, like we are trying to build an autonomous learner who will be able to live in this world and like basically learn English by himself in the future, of course, since you're not going to be there 24/7. That's why this type of presentation is very ineffective, since you do not even give a chance for the students to try to figure out why we need to use this tense. Why does he use this? Why do we change this? Why do we have he has, not he have, yeah? Or something like this. If we just give everything like that, well, your students will just become lazy, and then you will be shocked in the end, like, oh my God, why are you late? Why do you not want to do anything? It's because you have made them very accustomed to this notion. So, these are all that we have for mistakes. Now, I will be mentioning how to, well, everything that I'm about to show you and how to plan the lesson will kind of cover all the mistakes that we have mentioned here. But if you still have any questions, you can text them in the chat. Moving on, what is a text-based presentation? We're going to be talking about that specifically. Now, this approach give me one moment, please. This approach is based on guided discovery. I am sure you've heard what guided discovery is. Like, come on, I think if you've been living under a rock, you would know what guided discovery is. But everyone is like screaming it everywhere, and I'm really happy about it because guided discovery is a thing that people should be using. But of course, you have to be able to use it correctly. So, what is guided discovery? Guided discovery develops the skill of noticing. So, what I mentioned in the mistake number four, in the situation number four, is that we just spoon feed everything. But we should, with the skill of noticing, your students will be able to recognize patterns or words in the text without even you helping them. We will teach them, we're training them to notice some phrases, some patterns, some grammar, yeah? And we do this with the help of guided discovery. So how it works, the student first notices the grammar pattern, the structure, let's say like, I don't know, subject plus verb plus object, yeah, like a basic one. Then we as teachers explain how to use it, how to use the specific grammar using MFP. I'm sure you've heard it somewhere. If you're not, again, please get on it. So it's called the abbreviation is meaning, form, and pronunciation. Today, again, I will not be talking too long into details about that since it's gonna take like a whole another 2 hours because I can talk about it forever. But it is the more I'd say favorite, I guess, way of, well, okay, the only acceptable CELTA way to introduce grammar, vocabulary, and functional language is through MFP, meaning form pronunciation. This is actually, well, on CELTA I've learned how to do that. I've mastered, I'd say that. Next, a few facts about this approach. This approach can also be used for vocabulary lessons, which I also often like to use there. Well, actually, at least I would say this approach can also be used for functional language as well. It works best with grammar that has a clear pattern that can be noticed. I guess that's the only downside about text-based presentation, but still, it is used among like many of the grammar in English language, since many of the grammar in English lessons in English language has patterns. So such grammar as conditionals, tenses, articles, used to, comparative superlative, verb patterns, yeah. Well, all kinds of tenses. Well, pretty much all the tenses, actually, because with all the tenses, we have a formula and we have a pattern, and this will help us. The pattern will help students to recognize it and use it. So how this is the framework for text-based presentation type of lesson. You can screenshot it. You will you will have to use it, I mean, in the future, because I am hoping you will try to plan a lesson with that. And I will help you and I will show you how to do that today. So we have 6 stages of the lesson. This is actually a whole effective 60-minute lesson. You see here, like that's it. It's actually not that difficult since you have all the stages, just do all the stages and that's it. So in the lead in, of course, we introduce the lesson, the context for using the tense. Like I'm sure everyone knows that. I'm sure everyone is familiar with that. Now, just reading, just listening, because you can introduce your grammar through listening, through like a video. It is also possible. The most important thing is that this video or the part of the audio should have your target grammar that you are about to present on this lesson. Okay. Most of the time, of course, I go with the safer option is the reading. So just reading, give a task to check gist because it's a gist. It's a general understanding of the text, of the listening, of whatever, general. Then we move on to the guided discovery. So guided discovery is where you ask questions to help students notice the grammar in the text. Notice, not try to understand it completely. Notice, okay? MFP, we present the grammar, meaning, from pronunciation. Then we have control practice, of course, practice the grammar in writing. Here we are focusing on accuracy, so your students don't make any mistakes while writing, okay? Because on like form mistakes specifically, like he don't, not he don't, but he doesn't. So this is the part where we focus on that. We care about that. And on semi-control or freer practice, you can choose whatever is more comfortable for you. We use the grammar in speech and we focus more on accuracy and fluency. Okay, here we focus on that as well. So not only on like how well they use like he doesn't, he don't, but of course on how fluent they are while using this tense. Okay. Now, today we will focus only. Oh, I guess I deleted that. Today we will be focusing only on the 4 stages, on the 4 last stages. So, guided discovery, MFP, control practice, and semi-control practice. Since these are like the hardest, I'd say, parts of the lesson. Because leading, just reading, I think we all know. I'm not gonna stop too long on there. Although there is. Why have I not? Okay, for some reason, I guess I deleted that. One helpful tip, don't start planning your lesson with a lead in. Start planning your lesson from the bottom up. So usually think of what is going to be your last exercise, your like semi-controlled freer practice exercise. Is it going to be a question? What context those questions are going to have, and things like that, so that it will be easier for you to plan your lead in. Because your lead in should be everything in your lesson should be connected and should have the same context. You cannot start with fashion and lead in and then finish it with an environment. Those are two unrelated topics. If you started with fashion, you finish with fashion. So that's why it is a bit helpful. It is a bit more helpful and easier to start planning your last lesson, like how you want your students to practice the grammar in what context, and then use this context in your lead in. So whenever you know how you're going to finish the lesson, it is easier to know how you're going to start, because the context, again, as I said, it should be the same throughout your whole exercises. Of course, controlled practice may differ a bit since it's just controlled practice, but everything else should have the same context. You cannot go into MFP, like for example, you have a context of present continuous, and you're talking about like planning, yeah, future planning for present continuous. You can't mention, oh, and also we use present continuous for actions that's happening right now. Why are you putting that? Why are you including extra information that is really not in your context right now? Why, like, what is the point? It will not have any effect on the students, whether you tell them, whether you remind them or not. Because some students may even like start being like, oh, so how should I use present continuous on this lesson? Should I use it like right now or like for the future? And you're like, no, 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 we're planning on the future. No, here today we're focusing on the future. So no extra context. Please don't include it here. If you have one context, use it throughout your whole lesson. So how like let's talk about the grammar, the guided discovery type of part of the lesson. Choose a text that contains the target grammar. You can actually use like ChatGPT for that. Like, please, like this is literally what I did. I just asked ChatGPT to make like a text about like me and my brother using present perfect and present simple, so that it would have I, me, and like he, like I, he, and stuff like that. You can use it. You can go a step further if you want, like do and personalization. You can ask ChatGPT 2, generate a text about your favorite topic of your students, like, I don't know, like a movie or like a TV show, and include your target grammar in the text. Like, you're gonna kill two rabbits at the same time. Do we say that in English? I don't know. You're gonna like kill two birds. Yeah, that's how you say it in English. You can kill two birds at the same time with one stone. Yeah, that's how you do it. Wow, got there in the end. So you will do like a personalization for the person because the students will be interested in reading the text since it's the text about his favorite thing. But also you will be showing the grammar. You will be presenting, or you will include like a very with a thin thread. You will include the grammar that you will be presenting in the lesson today. So if you want to, you can highlight the grammar, like specifically highlight the grammar. I do it for my lower level students since sometimes the text can include other tenses, and I want them to focus on specific text, on the specific grammar that I want them to do. So you can highlight the text if the text includes a lot of different grammar, and you don't want to like attract their attention, draw their attention to like a different thing. You can just do that. Alternatively, you can select a specific part of the text that focuses on the grammar you want to teach. So for example, you can give them the whole text to read, and then your next part in a guided discovery, so it's going to be like a gist reading, you just give them the whole text. And then when it's guided discovery, you just take parts of the text. You can even just use like a sentence, just like give them three sentences and just give them questions to work with those sentences, because they don't need to see the whole text. Like ultimately might not, like, it's okay to do that. So for example, here I have specifically highlighted the words that I want my students to focus on, because we have like a lot of different like extra information about other tenses that I don't want him to look at like very, very seriously. I want them to notice that. So on my guided discovery stage of the lesson, I will just highlight the needed grammar I want them to notice. Now here you ask guiding questions, not like detailed guiding questions. We are a guide for our students for them to notice it, okay? That draw attention, our students' attention to target grammar. Such questions as we always begin with it's an iceberg. We always begin at the tip of the iceberg and not like the whole. And then we go from like a more detail, like less detailed questions to more like in-depth questions. Such as my favorite is spot the differences in the verbs. Or like notice the verbs. What is different? You can ask that question. Like look at the verbs. What is different? How I like to do the guided discovery stage. If it's a individual lesson, just give these questions, the text, the sentences, or whatever to the students. Do the work by yourself. I am not here. You answer the questions how you want to answer your questions. Of course, I do also have some students who are like, no, wait, I don't know. No, no. I'm like, try. Okay. There is no wrong. There is no right. Just please, like, just try it yourself. If you're conducting a group or like pair lesson, give them the same thing, like just like give them the questions, give them the target vocabulary, oh sorry, target grammar, like target sentences or like a part of the text. Let them work by themselves, let them work together in pairs, two three people, depending on how many people you have in your class. Do that. Separate them into groups. Let them work by themselves. Let them think. Let them notice. Let them use their critical thinking skill. Do not do anything. Do not help them. Do not interrupt them. Just let them work by themselves. Now, give them like 3 minutes for this one. Do not give them like 10 minutes and then for them to just sit and do nothing. You must have a time limit for everything you do on your lesson. So, three minutes to work on the questions. Just answer the questions. If you can, you can like do that. 3 minutes have passed. You go back to your, like, we all gather together. Attention to me, students. Let's take a look at the questions. Now you work with the questions together. And while you check their answers to the questions, you can start presenting your grammar. So, for example, here you said, spot the difference in the verbs. What is the difference? What did you notice? One verb has s, the other does not. Why do we add the s to the verb? What do you think? Different ideas. Listen to different ideas. Don't just be like, oh yeah, you're correct. No, challenge them, ask them, why do you think so? And why do you think we add s to this? Oh, because it's my brother. Oh, my brother is what? He? How is he different from I? Yeah, and then like go on from there. So let them notice that, uh-huh, with my brother we use s, and with I we don't use s. Let them think about that. Now, with which words does the verb not change? We look, notice with what like verb, well, not verb, sorry, word, the verb does not change. And he's like, oh, with I. Uh-huh. So does it mean we da 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 da? Here, I think I would also highlight the we talk and sometimes cook together, but I haven't. But this one you can also do. So they would notice not only I, but also we. So you can say, oh, with I and with we. Uh-huh. So we don't use it with I, we. What else do you think? We, yeah, 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 yeah. And then you can introduce like it differently. Like when you do the form, when you write the formula for the present simple, there you can mention like, oh, I, you, we, they. And are they talking about their daily routine? Now, here is the question. Before, they notice just the form. They notice only on the pattern, on the form, on like how the verbs change, on the formula a little bit, yeah? And the last question, usually I make it a meaning question. So when to use this grammar. So after that, I can, very, very, like, how to say, very smoothly transition to my MFB presentation. Because the last question is I ask, are they talking about their daily routine? Yes, they do. Uh-huh. So this tense, when we talk about our daily routine, we use the tense present simple. If you want to, you can say that. You don't need to. Like, it's not like a must do thing. Now, after that, you start presenting meaning for pronunciation. So, in the meaning stage, what do? We draw a timeline, if it's possible, of course. If not, you just ask CCQ. So, yeah, context. Wow, I forgot what that stands for. Context. Context? Oh my God, how could I forget? It's checking question.
Concept.
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 Thank you. I love how I just haven't been like in it's like my first webinar in the last like what 5 months. I think that's I just forgot everything about methodology. Sorry. So yeah, concept checking questions. So we ask questions that check that if the students understand the concept of the usage for this tense. Do they understand that if we say I wake up, does it mean that I do it every day? Yes. Is it our routine? Yes. Is it a fact? Yes. So, and then you draw like a timeline where the action, like waking up, is repeated. From the past, it goes to the future since it's our routine and it will never change. Well, it won't change in the next couple of months. I don't know. So we have meaning. So we ask CCQs. We ask those questions that will make the students understand when to use this tense. Now, on the form part, we do what? We write out the formula. So the formula is as is subject. Here again, I usually explain to my students that S in the formula is always the subject. So they need to know what that is since we're going to be using it all the time. So S plus verb, yeah. Here with the lower level students, I like to talk about each sentence separately. So for example, I wake up and he wakes up are going to be two separate columns because I will include we and maybe someone I will ask like an eliciting question. What else can we use here? We, what else do you think we can use here instead of we? Someone can say you, they, because I'm sure some people will remember that as well. And you'll be like, yes, correct. So we will be using it with I, you, we, they plus verb. Do we add anything to the verb? No. Uh-huh. Great job. Plus object. Da, 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 da. Yeah. So don't just write out the formula in silence and students are just like sitting and writing it down. No, make it interactive. Ask questions, make them think. I don't know, like fight with them. Not like fight them, but like make them argument what they're saying. Same thing goes with, well, here, okay, I focused only on the affirmative sentences of present simple because in some books they introduce it like separately, like present simple affirmative, present simple negative, and present simple questions. So in this case, if you want to, of course, you can like add negative here and questions here. Like it's all possible. It's all up to you, depending on the grammar that you are presenting. Next, we're moving on to the blah, 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 blah. We're moving on to he, she, it sentences. Again, same thing. We're asking he, what else can we use here? She, it. Yeah, great job. Now here we have, do we add something to the verb? Yeah, we add s. Yeah, and what if the verb is like es? You can add it here. Like you can also say, what about this one? You can write the sentence, for example, he watches. And you can be like, oh, look at this sentence. What do we add here? Do we add just S or do we add E also? They're like, oh, you add E. Uh-huh, because with verbs with the ending on da 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 da, da, we add ES. Great job. And you just write it all down here. Uh, and then if you want to, you can move on to the negative and questions again, completely up to the grammar that you are teaching on the lesson. Next, we move on to pronunciation, a very underrated, underrated part of the lesson, which I think is the most vital part of the lesson since your students should be able to pronounce what they're like using the tense meaning form, yeah, of course they're important, but pronunciation, they should be able to speak properly. So in this part, in pronunciation part, we focus on where to put the stress in the sentences. Again, if you're focusing only on affirmative sentences, try to work out the S pronunciation of S. Wakes up, watches, watches, yeah, goes, does. And you do it like by and you do it by, oh my God, how do you, I forgot all the methodological terminology. Basically, you drill. Yeah, that's the word. You drill with your students. You can do an individual drilling. So I can be like, Ainura, like, does, goes. And then Misha goes, goes. Something like this. Yeah, like we do it together. You can do it like a choral drill, like your whole class. Repeat after me, guys. Does, and they say does, and you're like goes, and they goes. Same thing goes with the negative. Now, in negative questions, in negative sentences, I really like to focus on the stress that the sentence must have. So, for example, we don't really say I don't like. We say I don't like this. We stress the word don't and doesn't. In negative sentence, we always stress the negative part of the sentence. It's very important for your students to know. So when you do that, you have like a whole sentence, for example, I don't wake up. I don't wake up at 9 a.m. Yeah. And you say, okay, guys, listen to me. Where is the stress? Or you can say, what word do I pronounce the loudest, for example, if your students don't know the word stress. And you say, I don't wake up at 9 a.m. I don't wake up at 9 a.m. What word? And you ask them, and they think, don't. Yes, great job. So does it mean we stress negative in the well, does it mean we stress don't in negative sentence? Yeah, right. Uh-huh. Can you repeat after me? I don't wake up at 9 a.m. I don't wake up at 9 a.m. Same thing with he doesn't. He doesn't wake up at 9 a.m. Where is the stress? He doesn't. Yeah, great job. Now repeat after me. He doesn't wake up. He doesn't wake up. Yeah. And then they work together and they understand that, oh, and he doesn't, we just stress the negative and we like actually pronounce like the whole, not just, oh, I don't wake up at, I can't even say it without even stressing the word, like I don't wake up at 9 a.m. Yeah, we don't say that. We say I don't wake up, and we say he doesn't wake up. So this is the point where they need to know where to put the stress to sound like a native speaker, I don't know, whatever, to sound properly, and people will understand what they're saying. And then, of course, after that, we move on to present. Oh, well, I love how I already said everything beforehand. But yeah, any language point, vocabulary, grammar function is presented through MFP. Why? Because this type of presentation doesn't require lengthy explanation and is conducted entirely in English, except at A1. I would say A2 level, because sometimes A2 levels, they might not know, they might not have the same like capacity of vocabulary as like other students have. So I think it is acceptable to do it in Russian. If you want to, you can make some CCQs in Russian language. Like it's not completely prohibited to use Russian language. I'm all for it. Okay. Now, oh my God, my throat is like a Sahara desert right now because I'm like I have been talking nonstop for 40 minutes now. But yeah, you can do the same MFP presentation for lower level students in Russian language. Like it is completely up to you. You can do the same thing with questions, with like when you do the formula, completely up to you, but for students of like lower level. And if you because it is more important for you and for students to understand the tense, when to use it, how to use it, rather than to just like, be able to use it. Of course, if the English is the only option, of course, you just try to make it simpler. Like the simpler, the better, because that's how well, in Celta, you're actually not allowed to use Russian. Only at like elementary level, you are allowed to use Russian. Well, your language of choice, I guess, and the people who are like who know your first language, I guess they're the same. I guess you can use. But if the students, well, usually CELTA, that's why we have MFP. That's why we developed MFP. Not we, but people who are smarter than me, they developed MFP so that you will be able to present the grammar no matter the language, no matter if you have the same F1 with the per F1, L1, Formula One here, if you have the same L1 with your students or not. So that's why MFP was developed. It is a very simple presentation of grammar. If you have to use English and only English because your students have different languages, like someone speaks Italian, someone speaks Russian, someone speaks, I don't know, German, just use MFP and use the simplest words ever. Like, because if you think about it, you really do not need to like try to simplify. Because I also, when I started Celta, my questions were very like long and structured, and then my trainer was like, well, they will not be able to understand you, like no way, so make them simpler. And I just separated them into multiple questions. I would say for CCQs, the maximum amount of questions that you it is appropriate and for normal to have is like 3 to 5. Same thing goes with noticing questions for like guided discovery. 3 to 5 questions would be appropriate. Make them as simple as possible. Do not like make them, what would you do, Lana? No, just simple language that will be understandable for all your students. And as I mentioned before, meaning, use timeline to show the concept. Form, show the structure or formula of the tense. Pronunciation, model the correct pronunciation of the target form. Now, I love how I already did everything. I didn't know that it's going to be here, but yeah, there you go. As I mentioned before, it's easier to do a lead-in when you know how you're going to practice speaking grammar. Now, again, since we can't really use the breakout rooms, we will do everything together. But for this one, I want you to analyze. I'm sure you're familiar with this page. It is a B2 level, upper intermediate English file, fourth edition. Can you look at the page and tell me what is the target grammar here? Can you use a chat? Okay, I wish I. Good, okay. Mm-hmm. Look closely. There is something else. Not only I would just, I mean, well, look closely. There are different types of I wish. Conditional. Okay. Conditional. Imperatives. Aha. Interesting. Oh my God. I love that. You see how, without even seeing or understanding like the whole page, you really cannot tell what this page wants you to teach your students, right? Overwhelming to say the oh my God, we have subjunctive tense. Jesus Christ, have not heard that. Guys, you see, that's what I'm saying when I say that uh, don't trust your book wholeheartedly, okay? Because your book can give you this, and then you'll be like, if you, of course, I mean, of course, I will show you the whole page. You will be able to see everything. But even just by that, we have like 8 different ideas of the topics that will be presented through one page. Yeah. So don't trust your book if it tells you to do like just like don't blindly follow everything your book tells you to, okay? So of course here it is we practice the grammar for wish, for present, and for future. So I wish I could, I wish I would, things like that we have. Of course, we have that. So these are the pages of the, as I said before, English file fourth edition upper intermediate level. Now tell me, here, if you notice, we have two types of I wish. I wish I would, I wish past simple. Would you how would you present it on the lesson? Would you use both topics? Would you separate them? What do you think? Would you use both? Would you present on one lesson both I wish plus past simple, I wish plus would? Or would you separate it? Realistically, be honest with me. I'm not going to judge you. Separate, okay. Both, okay, nice. Separated, properly separated. Honestly, both. Interesting. Okay. Hmm. Again, as I said, no judgment here. I will mention my way as I would go about this one. If you can take it or leave it, let's just say that. I will share how I would probably do it, and then you can analyze whether you would like to do the same or not. Now, on my CELTA, I conducted lessons for two level of students, A1 and B2, because on CELTA you're supposed to conduct lessons for students above level of each other. So, for example, if you conduct for elementary, like A1, you will have to conduct the next part of your CELTA is going to be conducted for B1 level. The same thing goes for me, but I started with A2 and I had to conduct lessons for B2 level students. So, and I again was given the pages of English file, of course, and there were two grammar topics: future perfect and future perfect continuous. A hell of a tense, let me tell you that. And I was torn. My teacher trainer did not tell me anything. He just showed me the pages and he said, "This is your pages for the lesson." So of course I was torn between should I conduct both tenses in one lesson? Mind you, I had 45-minute lessons on CELTA. You're supposed to conduct only 45-minute lessons. Or should I separate them? Teacher trainer did not tell me like anything since it was the second part of the course. They are not supposed to help you like at all. You're supposed to have minimal support. So it was a real pickle for me. I was thinking about that for 4 days. I was planning my lesson. I did not know what to do. I did not know should I include everything since I was, like it's upper intermediate level students. Come on, they're supposed to know that. Like, oh, it's easy. And then I thought in 45-minute lesson, will I be able to effectively present both tenses using MFP? Because for one tense, MFP might take about like 5 minutes. For both tenses, like 10, I'd say 10 minutes. So I'm already robbing myself from 10 minutes of the lesson. So I have 35 minutes and then give or take like just reading, less like leading, and I'm supposed to have an effective control practice and a very good freer practice so that I will be able to know whether I achieved my goal of teaching them two tenses or not. Is the if they're going to use it in freer practice, oh, I did my best. I'm good. But if they won't be able to use it in the freer practice, I'm pooped. Like I didn't achieve my goal. My lesson was ineffective. I do not get CELTA pass A or whatever. I don't get CELTA since I haven't achieved my goal. That that's why I was very, very particular and I was very, very careful when I was thinking about that. And in the end, I am very glad that I have decided to separate those two tenses. Because even if they are upper intermediate students, I was shocked to know that they were struggling with even one tense. So even if you think like, oh, my students are very strong, they will be able to do that, might not be the guarantee that they will be able to remember this tense well and use it in the future. Since both of the tenses were presented together, they might have a bit of a mush in their brain. Like they won't be able to really effectively remember and use like one of those tenses. So maybe putting both of those tenses might be a risk. And ask yourself, why do you want to put both of those tenses together? Is it because you want to save time? Like, what is the reason you want to do that? Because the better approach would be here is to again have separated lessons for each tense so that each tense would get the great amount of attention first of all, and second of all they will be effectively presented and worked on and worked with, and they will be effectively remembered by your students since you have conducted a whole like 60 or 45-minute lesson on a completely one topic without any other distractions. Because since you might add some more distractions, students will get distracted. It is a fact. They will be like, oh, I wish, what should I use? I wish I would, or I wish I wasn't, and stuff like that. And they might be confused on which one we use for what. So in this case, it is better to focus on one tense here. Now, Whether you decide to do that, of course, again, as I said, is up to you, but I would like to recommend the less, the better. Remember, again, this another golden rule of methodology is the less you give your students, the more they remember. The less, the better, okay? Less that also is when we talk about vocabulary, no 20 words, no 10 words, no 15 words, okay? Like small, 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 well, depending on the level, of course, but don't overwhelm them with that thinking, oh, they will remember that. They probably won't, okay? Now, coming back to this page, we have two I wish. I would, of course, as I said before, I would start with I wish plus present plus past simple, then I would go to I wish I would. In this case, this page is a bit outdated. Let's agree on that. So what I would recommend, since it's TBP, text-based presentation, coming back to that, you can take any text. And what that means is it gives you freedom of when and where to find the text from. You can actually make it. You all know, and I'm sure you all use social media called Threads. It is a Twitter nowadays, right? It's like Twitter for Kazakh people. But yeah, Threads, okay? Use like open a new fake account or even use your own, just blur out the name if you want. And like post threads using I wish da 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 da. Something relatable for your students. Something really if it's like a an adult student, you can say, "Oh, I wish I had more free time to do things that I like." If it's like your school, your pupil, I don't know, like a student from school from or like university, like a teenager or a child, you can say, "Well, I don't know with a child." Well, if it's a teenager, you can say, I wish my friends' houses were connected to mine by secret tunnels. I don't know, something like that. So use threads. So something that is again like closer to your students, not this, because this is a bit like further away. You know, students might not, it might not spark some interest with them. But with the threads or like Instagram or Twitter, whatever they're using, or just like a message, text message like this, WhatsApp, there are plenty of websites that can make you this thing. You can just Google like a WhatsApp chat maker, I don't know, something like this, and there are plenty of those things there. And you can do that and then present your grammar like that. And I'm not talking just only about I wish. Of course, you can do the same thing with, you can use threads, you can use Instagram, you can use Twitter if you want. You can use like a text message. You can use like a text message from your favorite, I don't know, from your student's favorite person and use that to present grammar. Yeah. Like the opportunities are endless when it comes to text-based presentation. It can be just any text you want. It can be like a picture of something, I don't know, like a photograph that you found of something and just show that and present that to your students, okay? So again, how you present it does not matter. The context is, okay? The context matters, not it does. The context matters is how you present it. So you can do the same thing. Use I wish I could, I wish I had, I wish I do, using whatever text you want. And through that, and then you again go into guided questions. You ask them, notice what is similar between those, like between those threads. Similar is I wish. What do we use after I wish is going to be your second guided discovery questions. And they will see and notice, oh, we use the verb to or like past simple, yeah? So, or maybe they can notice, maybe they will notice like you use you, didn't have, could, and you can say, uh-huh. So what is similar when you check it later afterwards, after they worked on the guided questions themselves? You can ask them, what is similar between knew, didn't know, could? What is similar? Are they in the past? Yeah. So does it mean we use past simple here? Yes. Great job. And then you move on to other stuff. And your last question in your guided discovery is going to be about whether people want to, do they talk about things they want to be different? Question mark. Probably they will say, yeah. Do they talk about things they want to be different in the present or the future? Again, this is you are kind of like putting some CCQs there in your guided discovery. It's also possible, not prohibited at all. So if you'd like to, and your students just work on it themselves. They come back, and then after that, again, as I said, you smoothly transition into MFP. Okay. Then you go into, you again ask questions. Here, of course, you're not going to be able to write a timeline, sure. So here you will just ask CCQs, such as, do they talk about things they want to be different? Yeah. Do they talk about things they want to be different in the future or the present? Yes. So can they change those things? It's also a possibility that you can ask. Are they impossible to happen? Are they possible? Like a bit more in-depth questions, so they would understand when to use I wish plus past simple. Then you would say, okay, now let's make a formula for this sentence. You can take one sentence. You don't need to use all. Use one sentence. Be like, I wish I knew how to fly. And you can ask them, okay, so I wish plus what do we use? Past simple. Uh-huh. So what do we use after? Like we use a subject. Yeah, be careful. No, don't just write past simple. Write subject plus verb to. Yeah. And then with a negative you can do. Okay, let's change this sentence into a negative. How can we make this sentence negative? I wish I knew how to fly. Someone, I wish I didn't know how to fly. Great job. Okay. And you write it down. I wish plus blah blah blah. And then when you write out all the formulas, you can ask them, what is not changing ever in those sentences? They should be able to notice that I wish always stays the same. So when we use I wish, we just always use it like that. We don't change it into anything. Of course, if you want to, you can mention like, oh, he wishes he could fly. Like you can mention, but most of the time we use it as I wish. So focus on what is more popular, widespreadly used. So you can mention that, like, oh, I wish I didn't, I wish I could. So, yeah, we use plus, I wish plus, subject plus, didn't have plus, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then you move on to pronunciation. Again, you practice the pronunciation with your students. I wish I knew, I wish I knew. So where is the stress? Where do we put the stress? I wish I knew how to fly. Yeah, we use it on I knew probably. I wish I didn't know how to fly. So again, where is the stress? We use I didn't. Okay, repeat after me. I wish I didn't know how to fly. I wish I didn't know how to fly. So again, it's a whole process, like it's MFP. Like use this pattern when you're presenting any kind of grammar, okay? I think we can choose a single sentence or present the tense and its structure, then practice pronunciation. If one sentence is enough, we select several examples and present them individually following MFB. Again, you can do the same thing with the I wish I would. Same thing, just different questions. Ask them, do they talk about things they like? Uh-huh. Do they talk about things that annoy them? Yes. Uh-huh. Does that mean that we use I wish plus would when things annoy us? Yes. Great job. And then you do the same formula and then pronunciation. So things do not really change much when we use it like MFP for different presentations. Now, after that, we of course have the control practice. You can take the control practice that your book gives you. If you don't want to, you can make one with ChatGPT. Usually, I look at them. So my main criteria when it comes to choosing a controlled practice exercises from the book is, will they do it automatically without thinking, or will they have to think? So if it's the exercise, I really like the rewrite sentence exercise sentences, rewrite sentence exercises, since they make the students at least read the sentence till the end and not just like I doesn't hello I don't, yeah, or like he doesn't, like they don't even read the end of the sentence, they just like automatically fill in the gaps. But I would like to avoid that. Of course it's possible to avoid that. Sometimes of course not, since it's like very kids and you can't do anything with that. But with like a bit of a higher level students, try to avoid this mechanical like make doing of the lesson, okay? Why does everyone take so long? I'm sorry. I wish I was shutting up
Why
very quick.
don't you leave then?
I am gonna take like 5 more minutes of your time and then you'll be free. Now, we have two exercises here. Now, with the if you are going to separate your lessons into like two parts, be careful and filter your exercises. So, for example, if you're gonna be focusing on I wish plus past simple, don't include would, of course. And the same thing goes with would. Don't include past simple there so that your students wouldn't be confused. Okay, don't just take everything your books give you for granted. And semi-controlled for your practice, you can create semi-controlled exercises that I personally love are these. Name three situations, name three things, name three people that annoy you, or name three situations you wish were different. And they'd be like, oh, I wish this was different. I wish this was different. I wish this was different. Do you know anyone who wishes to change their, or who wishes to, I don't know, be taller? I don't know, yeah, something like that. You can ask that, like different kinds of questions. Tic-tac-toe is always a great possibility for that. At least it took as much time as extremely useful for my work. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jasmine, for super useful. I've been a really enjoy. Oh, thank you so much. I am really finishing. This is the last probably part. Give certain statements about people's work. Now, this is very cool. So, give certain statements about people's work, life, city. They can be controversial and ask students to correct them if they're wrong or if they disagree. So, for example, I wish like a teacher, teacher, and then two dots, and then like I wish I could go away from my lessons and never conduct one or something like that. And your students be like, no, that's not true. She wishes she, no, 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 to change it into correct ones. Yeah, you can correct them. Give students characters, especially if they know some characters from like TV shows, and describe their situations using I wish. I mean, I'm coming back to I wish, of course, it's going to be for any other tense, is going to be the same. Batman. What Batman wishes for. We can write Batman and then say, I wish, and let your students finish what Batman wishes to happen. Yeah. You can be like, oh, I wish I didn't have to save the world. I don't know, something like that. Yeah. They're like Superman, same thing. Give them like the picture of Superman and think what would Superman want to change? Yeah, or wishes to change in his life and finish the sentence. I wish I da 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 da. I wish I da 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 da. Or just I wish and let them finish the sentence by themselves. Okay. Same thing goes with for your adult students. You can do like your CEO. What do you think he wishes for? Your mom. What do you think she wishes for? Your wife, your husband, whatever. What do you think they wish for? So, and they just finish the sentence because, and using the grammar again. A great way for them to remember since it has like a personal connection to them. Then ask them to think of which of these characters, or you can do the same, like which of these characters would say or would want to say using the target grammar. Okay, I wish I could fly. Of course, Superman wouldn't say that since he knows how to fly, yeah, or something like, oh no, wait, he doesn't. Superman actually knows how to fly. Well, you can like do some statements and make your students characterize them and be like, oh, I think he would say that because he wishes to da da da. Things like that. Imagine you're the richest person in the world. What would you think about? Explain your words using new vocabulary or using target grammar. You're the richest person in the world, what you would wish for. Oh, I wish I could buy an island, I don't know, something like that. Or maybe not, yeah. So things like that. Imagine you're a famous person. What would you wish for, yeah? So like make them think outside the box and like try different characters, not just be like, what do you wish for? I mean, yeah, of course you can ask that, but still, make them a bit more interesting and add some like fun twists to it as well. So, Jesus. Ask AI to generate photos of people in annoying situations. This I'm talking about, like, I wish I would if you want to do that. In annoying situations, have students guess what these people are thinking. Like, I wish people would disappear. Yeah, I mean, if he's like standing in a crowded bus or something like that, he probably thinks that. So give them different situations in which they would probably use that. Same thing goes with any other grammar. Like, you can use all these exercises for any target grammar that you're presenting because it is really easy to use them for your lessons. Like, you just use them, adapt them, change them, voila, you have a whole like a great exercise to practice target grammar and like focusing on accuracy and fluency. Okay. And I think that's it. Oh my God, I am finished. Jesus, I did not know. That was the fastest webinar I've actually conducted. Usually I have like 1 hour, 45 minutes. You're lucky that I did it so quickly. Okay, so any questions that you have, you can ask in the chat. You can unmute yourself and like use your microphone, something like this. Okay.
Wow, Jasmine, thank you so much. I am sure everyone enjoyed, and thank you, 16, 17 people, members, that stayed with us till the last minute. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. There were a few questions in the chat, if I'm not mistaken.
I think I've answered a couple of well, what if I've seen them, like what if English is the only option while presenting
Yeah.
MFP? I have answered that.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think other questions I haven't really I didn't see any. Thank you for very
Hmm.
much for the webinar. It was really useful. Appreciated your knowledge. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much for such a fantastic session. Thank you. Thank you for joining. I love it. I haven't presented in a long time, so I did miss that. Any questions you have? Anything you maybe didn't understand? Maybe I should like explain more If you want to, you can, I don't know, maybe leave that if there is like a section for questions, you can. Could you please tell me how can I get a certificate of appreciation? Well, that is for the question for Aidana for participating.
Yeah, as I said at the beginning, maybe you missed that part. After this webinar, I'll share a link in the chat, Casualty chat, where you'll be able to fill in, answer a few questions, and we'll send you the certificate in a week.
Yeah.
No questions, everything was clear. Again, Zhasmin, thank you
Jasmine,
so much.
could
You
I
felt
ask
like
a
an
question?
express Salta
It's Kulvira.
for
Yeah,
60
yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
Jasmine, the question is I'm teaching the young learners mostly, and I'm preparing the students for A2 flyers level. And sometimes it's pretty difficult for them to understand present perfect. And the way I do, I know that the new present continuous, like for example, or I'm showing the actions, like I'm drinking water, and how to explain present perfect. I just finished drinking water. I'm saying that like I finished water, or I have drunk water, like showing the finished action. Will that be a correct way to explain
It
young
can be. It
learners?
can be. Yeah, for young learners, showing, of course, it's better. You can use that as well. Absolutely. You can do it using the timeline also possible. Like try to draw the timeline with pictures. I usually, that's how I do it. I do it in Canva. I don't just draw it if I have the opportunity, of course. I usually do like a timeline and then I like show, for example, a not wet cat, let's say that, and then a wet cat, and then there's like he just got wet. Like he has just I don't know got what something like this, yeah. And then like to show the result, and then ask them, what do you see? What is different? Like, is it important? What is more important? We focus on the result, yeah. So in present simple, in present perfect, it is more important to focus on the result. So yeah, your way of showing is also possible. For some students, they may be able to see like the timeline. Maybe that would help them a bit more, and then you can like show them on the timeline, like what is happening here and what about this one, so does it mean that this and like ccqs and like ask different ccqs, they can be helpful, and again with young learners you can use Russian language with ccqs, it's also possible.
And should we use the correct name of tenses like present perfect, or we should try to?
It is possible,
Uh-huh.
because it is not like you, where we can also teach them in the future to recognize the tenses, because in the future we will be inevitably using the names of the tenses when we're going to be presenting other grammar structures and stuff like this. So if you want, you can use present perfect. It is possible. This term is appropriate.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah,